Why would you put yourself in that box if you're the head
rather
coach
than
at
this
Auburn?
box?
Well, neither
This box sucks.
Neither box is good.
This box is terrible.
No,
They're down there for a golf tournament. It's like playing a 4-man scramble. What? Just go to a bowl game? You're cooked.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us on Monday's edition of Crain & Company. We got a heck of a show for you today. And if you haven't heard, we're in the talking season. We know that every quote that a head coach at a big-time place or a big brand program is going to get taken and extended for as long as possible. But Hugh Freeze sent Auburn fans, at least some of them, into a panic recently with what he told our friends over at the Next Round during the coaches golf tournament that they do. I want to play this clip in its full context, not just the snippet, and then we're going to react to it. Let's go ahead and play it.
Going into this season, does it feel a little bit different? Do you feel like, hey, I've got to win X amount of games?
I'm not a fool. I think we've got to go to a bowl game, you know, and I think our administration understands. Look, I inherited a program that didn't have a top 25 recruiting class for 4 years. You're not going to win in this league. We've had now 2 full recruiting classes, both top 10. I think one more than your roster looks complete, but I'm still not naive. And we should have won some games last year that we could have won some games. I shouldn't say we should. We could have won some games last year. And we've got to find a way to make sure we're excellent in those areas that cost us those, that put us in a position to be at least bowl eligible, if not more. And I see no reason why we shouldn't do that. And I think that's an expectation that our people should expect.
Okay, so I've been asked a million times already.
I was wondering this
about
I can't wait for
what
Monday.
I think about this. And y'all know I think Hugh Freeze is going to ultimately get it done at Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is guaranteed. They've got to make a move this year. I want to start with where I have a problem with it, and then in the grand scheme of things, does it really matter or not? And I understand why some Auburn fans are upset over this answer, because this is a year one answer. If this is the first year that Hugh Freeze had taken over Auburn and they're trying to rebuild this thing, I can understand that. We're in year 3. You've got to show progress on the field, and there's a lot of truth to what he said. That's why I wanted to play a little bit longer of just the snippet of him talking about bowl eligibility, that he did take over an Auburn program that didn't have a lot of depth, wasn't recruiting at a high enough level, especially on the line of scrimmage. And off the field, Auburn has done some really good things. But we always say on this show, and I think it's right, at certain programs, the standard should never change, but reality should always be accepted. You go into a program year one, you have to rebuild it in a league like the SEC, okay. We don't have to water down the standard, but we can say this is going to take a little bit of time. But the standard at Auburn, regardless of how bad it's been over the last half decade, is not to just make a bowl game. And I think Hugh Freeze knows that. I went back and watched this guy 6 or 7 times to try and see if I could sense some sarcasm in that answer. There was no sarcasm there. And again, deep down, I know Hugh Freeze knows this. If he could go back and answer this a different way, I think he probably would. I'll tell you when we get a little further into this how I would have answered the question. Hindsight's always 20/20. But if you're Auburn and you look at this roster and you've been building to this point and you've stacked those recruiting classes on top of each other, you've done well in the transfer portal, going to a bowl game is not going to be just good enough this year. To me, 8 games is a necessity. And there's a pretty good chance you're going to have to beat one of Georgia and Alabama, both of whom you get at home, both of whom are breaking in a new quarterback. So I felt like this was the lesser of 2 evils. I would rather you answer it differently, but if I had to pick, I would rather him say that than come out and say, oh, we're going to beat everybody's ass. This is the best team in the country. Everybody should watch out for us. Some people would rather him say that. I would not want to give anybody any preparation material or bulletin board material, but I feel like there's a much better way to answer that with what's gone on the past 2 years and the expectation for this year on finally taking that next step on the field. But if Auburn wins, David, Blaine, nobody's going to care about this. If Auburn goes and has a great year, nobody's going to care. Where it's a problem is if you struggle, and if you struggle early, this quote is going to be brought up very, very quickly, and it could be another knife kind of in your back if the year starts to fall apart. So I'll get to how I would answer, but just your thoughts. I mean, look, you went to you understand the expectations of Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if Sharon Moore had said this, you'd have some pissed off Michigan fans.
No doubt. And I was wondering what you guys were going to think about this, and a lot of what you're saying makes sense. And I don't want to get to a place where our commentary of coaches is so critical that they just never want to speak to the media again. You know what? If you're going to be so critical, I'm just not going to do any more media appearances. And Hugh Freeze is a friend of this show, and I think you were a big advocate of him getting the Auburn job long before he took it. At the same time, though, I don't know how difficult it is to stand up in front of microphones and just say the expectation here, and I'm not even talking about Hugh Freeze or Auburn, wherever you are. I don't care. I don't care if you're at, Hope You Like It University. The expectation here is to win championships, and we're doing everything within our capacity to win championships here. You don't need to be specific about national championship or SEC championship. We're here to win championships, and that's what we're trying to do. That's what I would like to hear a coach say. Now, on the he didn't say broadly that we didn't have a lot of depth when we took over. He said specifically that Auburn didn't have a top 25 recruiting class for 4 years in a row. So I had some Auburn friends reach out to me and say that technically is incorrect.
Yep.
Now, I guess it depends on which site you're using to gauge top 25, but I wanted to get y'all's thoughts. I mean, Auburn had top 25 recruiting classes in the last 4 years, right?
Correct.
They did. I mean, Blaine, again, we can use different rankings, and we know how, how that goes.
Or did he mean to say top 10?
Again, I'm not going to try and put words
It doesn't
in his
matter
mouth.
what he meant to say.
Yeah,
He said what he
it's
said, right?
From a technical standpoint, that was incorrect. But I think the overarching statement of Auburn hasn't recruited at the level, and you've got to be nuanced when you talk about this, especially on the line of scrimmage. Where did Gus Malzahn, where did that ultimately fall apart? Couldn't recruit high school offensive linemen.
Yeah.
This is before the transfer portal got hot and all this stuff. Brian Harsin, they didn't recruit well on the line of scrimmage. And at the end of the day, if there's one spot, outside of quarterback, obviously, there's one spot where you can get away with recruiting well and then maybe not so well around it, it's the line of scrimmage. It does not work in this game the other way around. And that's where Auburn really built themselves up, was on the line of scrimmage. I don't care what type of offense you run, defense you run, whatever. If you're bad up front, it doesn't matter. So I agree with the overall sentiment that he was making. Statistically, was that wrong?
Yes.
Yes, but I do agree Auburn wasn't recruiting at the level, especially on the line of scrimmage, that they have to be able to compete with the Georgias and the Alabamas and, the top dogs in the league. Why did Ole Miss take that next step? Well, they got a whole hell of a lot better up front. Look at Texas. Talk about Quinn Ewers and Matthew Golden and all these guys. Go look at that line of scrimmage. We're going to talk about that matchup they got coming up here pretty soon as well. So, I mean, Blaine, when you watch him say that, knowing Hugh Freeze the way that we both know Hugh Freeze, what should Auburn fans say? Should there be an overreaction to it, or do you think it's
we're Auburn fans. We're in the SEC. We're going to overreact about this no matter what. The reason why Auburn's been in neutral like this is because of mindsets like that. And to get us out, I don't know. I like Hugh Freeze. The bigger question to me has been the quarterback play and who he's brought in to quarterback, not just an interview. But Auburn's not paying you millions of dollars to go 6-6 and go to the Birmingham Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't Liberty, all right? Going to just a bowl game isn't enough for Auburn to have multiple national championships, multiple Heisman winners, multiple SEC championships. We brought you here, or Auburn brought you here, to compete with Bama, to compete with Georgia, to bring Auburn back to the national stage. And if your mindset in year 3, this isn't year 1, this isn't year 2, this is year 3, where most coaches, this is the year, either put up or you shut up. If the mindset of saying I'm not a fool right before you said this, if you think making a bowl game is going to be okay, buddy, you're going to be coaching somewhere else next year.
And I really believe, and look, we're all fans of somebody. You talk about Hugh Freeze is a friend of this show. He is. He's a friend personally of mine. But, y'all don't watch the show for us to be buddy-buddy with who we're friends with. We're going to tell you what we really think. I don't think that was a great answer. Now, deep down, do I really think Hugh Freeze thinks that going 6-6 this year is okay? I don't. Do I think maybe he misspoke or kind of framed that wrong? Yes. Do I think he'd try and answer that differently if it was asked again today? I think he would, but I'll go back to what I said. Regardless of what a coach says during the offseason, what happens on that field is going to determine how it goes with Hugh Freeze. And I know that Hugh Freeze and this staff hasn't gone out and recruited their ass off the way that they have, right? Tried to change the program and the culture the way that they've had to go play in the Little Caesars Bowl or the Birmingham Bowl. I'm all for under-promising and over-delivering, but I think situational awareness was lacking here, to the point Blaine made, to the point that we both made. This is year 3. We got to see it now a little bit. Like it's give just a little. Nobody's saying go win the SEC. You have to win the SEC or you got to win the national championship. That'd be great. Mm-hmm. You want the standard to be high, but you cannot compete with the Alabamas and the Georgias and the Texases and the Ohio States saying a bowl game is good enough. Mm-hmm. That mindset just it cannot last. In an ocean full of sharks, you got to be a damn shark. And that's just how it's always going to be in this league and in this game.
I understand and appreciate the concept of under-promising and over-delivering. And to your point, Auburn fans would much rather him say this and then go to the college football playoff rather than say we're going to be the best team in the country and then go 6-6. At the same time, there is a perception that you put forward when you're the head coach of a program, and you talked about Michigan. I think about the rivalry between Michigan and Ohio and how Michigan was getting their butts kicked for so long. Now they're on a 4-game win streak, and these two programs are back-to-back national champions, and they pushed each other to achieve that. I just think all the Auburn fans who were upset, there were some Auburn fans who were upset at the backlash to this, and I just want to ask them, like, what would you say if the Alabama head coach came out and said something like this?
Yeah, and look, I understand the backlash, and we just gave you reasons for there to be backlash. Now, again, do I think there should be panic in the streets? Should you go run to the mayor of Auburn's house with pitchforks and torches? No, I don't think you should. But at the end of the day, what goes on that field is what's going to determine it. The talking, okay, we can sit here and do the mental gymnastics of the right thing to say, the perfect thing to say, this, that, or the other. Some people hate the way that like Tony Vitello does it for Tennessee baseball. Very cocky the way he goes about it. At the end of the day, the man won a national championship. He backed it up. So whether you're going out there saying we're the best or going out there saying, oh, well, going to a bowl game is good enough, what goes on that field is going to determine it. If he came out and said, we're going to whip everybody. We're going to win an SEC championship, and he go out and go 5-7, nobody's going to say, oh, but don't fire him because he thinks we're a championship caliber program, right? So again, at the end of the day,
but I would rather have too much confidence than a lack of confidence.
Well, I don't know if he has a lack of confidence.
That answer
to me,
feels like a lack
I felt
of
like
confidence.
he was trying to avoid having a viral clip, but by doing that, he made a viral clip. You understand what I'm saying? Like I feel like it's like, hey, let's not go out there and say something too brash or shake it up too much. Everything's going pretty well right now. We feel good about where we're at. Let's not go out there and upset the apple cart. But by doing that and playing it so safe, now you've upset the apple cart.
What would have gone more viral, this clip here, or if he had come out and said, I'm no fool, I think we need to win this league this year?
Oh, I defer that one.
Do you think so?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We can talk about this or whatever. Like, he said that.
What would you have rather heard him say?
I'd rather heard him say that we have to win the league.
Really?
Yeah.
That we have to. Why would you put yourself in that box if you're the head
rather
coach
than this box?
Well, neither
this box sucks.
Neither box is good.
This box is terrible.
No,
They're down there for a golf tournament. It's like playing a 4-man scramble, and you're putting for eagle, and you're the last guy to hit, and you leave it short. You did the one thing you can't do. You didn't even give yourself a chance. Just go to a bowl game. What? Just go to a bowl game? You're cooked. You're boxed in. Like, what are you gonna do? Where are we? I feel like I'm watching Lost.
Well, again, the only show that was named after how you feel after you watched the last episode, by the way. Caveat there. Again, though, would you rather him say that and then you go out and win 9 games? Nobody's gonna care. Nobody is gonna care at all. You go out and win 8 games and beat Alabama or Georgia. Nobody's going to care. You go out there and say, hey, we got to win the league, and then you win 8 games and beat Alabama and Georgia. Guess what? People are going to be like, well, damn, we underachieved.
Well, read their schedule. Do you have the schedule over there?
I can pull it up right now.
I get what you're saying. Well, it's a Goldilocks Ford situation. This one's too hot. That one was too cold. All you got to do is say this. And when they ask you that question, and you kind of hit it a little bit, I know the expectations at Auburn are very high. The standard here is excellence. We're working every day to try and meet that standard because that's what our fans expect. That's what we want to give to them because we know how much they love Auburn, and our guys are busting their butt every day to try and be the best version of themselves to get Auburn back to where they belong.
And if they follow up with the number again, but specific number. Well, we want to win them all. We're trying to win every one.
Yeah.
We go out there, we want to win every football.
We don't go into seasons thinking we can lose this many. Now, I've been a part of those staff meetings, guys, where the players aren't there and you know where the roster is, and the head coach is like, look, feel like 8. We look at the schedule. We feel like there's 8 there. You don't ever say it to the players. You damn sure never say that to the fans, especially at a place like Auburn. To Blaine's point, this ain't Middle Tennessee. Like, sorry, Murfreesboro. Like, again, not trying to throw strays out here, but Auburn fans are not. That is not. What does Vince Vaughn say in Dodgeball? I'm not okay. You're not okay, but that's okay.
Is okay.
Like
it felt like a plead for help. That's what it felt like. I felt like I was watching a Sarah McLachlan commercial.
Read the schedule.
All right, Baylor week 1.
Good litmus test.
You got Ball State at home.
Okay.
South Alabama at home.
Okay.
At Oklahoma.
Okay.
At Texas A&M.
Okay.
Georgia at home. Missouri at home.
Okay.
At Arkansas.
Okay.
Kentucky at home.
Mm-hmm.
At Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm.
And Mercer at home.
Mm-hmm.
You have Alabama at home.
I think they can get to 8.
We get to a bowl
that
game.
week. That week 3 through 6 stretch. What did you say it was? At Oklahoma.
At Oklahoma, at A&M, Georgia
at home. That 3-week stretch there. We'll see with Oklahoma. You know how high some of us.
And Baylor's not a walk in the park either.
No. But I would rather know. Last year we beat Alabama A&M. It was like pistol whipping a blind kid.
Y'all didn't even play the 4th.
Like you didn't even. They cut the game short.
They cut the game off.
They're like, hey, look, we got to stop. They're like, children are watching this. And you didn't know. You felt good, right? But it's just like, look, it's like dating a 2. Yeah, you're going to, in time, I mean, I guess it's a little bit of a win. You mark it up as a win. But hey, talking that 8's different. You know what I'm saying? Like, you really don't know yet. So, again, I think it's, look, Baylor, Sawyer Robertson, we're going to break that game down here in the coming weeks as well. But I felt like there was a much better answer there, Coney. But what else do we got?
All right, boys, let's talk a little Scottie Scheffler. A year after getting arrested during the PGA Championship, he wins the tournament by 5 strokes, beating out Harris English, Bryson DeChambeau. Your thoughts on this? Because Blaine wasn't entertained to the Gladiator.
Well, I mean,
first, I'm all for somebody turning their life around.
Yeah.
Scottie Scheffler goes to jail.
Him and Donald Trump.
Comes back out, man, and he's really turned it around. And good for him. I like Scott Scheffler. I know the way he plays is not sexy. And I think where people are like, oh, this is boring. If you grew up during the Tiger Woods era when Tiger was dominating, because let's make no mistake, Scheffler isn't dominating like Tiger, but he's doing a lot more than a lot of other people. He's absolutely running away with the sport right now. It's just not sexy. What did you say? It's like watching when the Spurs with Tim Duncan were winning all those NBA championships. When the most flashy guy you got is Manu Ginobili, and the most interesting thing is how long Tony Parker and Eva Longoria are going to be together. I get it. Is this good for the sport? To have just run-of-the-mill, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. Scott Scheffler does most things right. The arrest, obviously you're being sarcastic. That was a joke. Family guy, easy guy to root for. But is it good for the sport? Or do you need your Shooter McGavin, right? Do you need your Pete Weber?
Yeah, and you need him to lose.
Like, is it good for the PGA Tour? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's the best
I don't
thing.
think it's bad.
I mean, I'm not saying it's bad.
I mean, I think Scottie, if you watch Scottie bringing his son at the end of it, dropping out, Scottie just feels like a normal guy.
Yeah, we need that.
This feels like a normal guy. Was it boring to watch? Yeah, but sometimes greatness is boring. Like you bring back those Spurs team. Like, I think Kyle Porter had a tweet. He's like, Tim Duncan's not going to come in the gym and just dunk all over you.
He's not going to win the
or
combine.
hit some fancy shot or some 3. He's going to beat you with what? Consistency.
Fundamentals.
And fundamentals.
In the backboard.
And that's what Scottie Scheffler does. He just makes every single shot. He plays his game and he lets you lose.
Yeah.
Right? That's what he does. And all respect to him. It was a great win. Was it somewhat of a boring PGA championship? For sure. I mean, probably the coolest thing was when he held up the trophy and the thing popped off the top
the only
of
misstep
his,
all weekend.
Right? It's good for Scottie. I like Scottie. I don't feel like it's a phenomenal watch. I thought
Well,
the
how many
Masters was a
people-
lot more interesting.
I think maybe the better way is how many people are being captured by the PGA because of Scheffler's greatness? Like, you saw Tiger Woods transform the sport. And I know comparing anybody to Tiger Woods, I get it. I can feel it in the comments. But like, Tiger Woods increased the popularity of golf by God knows how much. How many people are like, you know what? How many kids at home today are like,
Well, that's to the NBA analogy. Yeah, I mean, kids were emulating Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant so they could fly above the rim and dunk. They weren't emulating Manu Ginobili and Tim Duncan. But you need that. You need that to counter the other personalities.
you
like
need
Bryson
a rival.
DeChambeau.
Who, like, he needs,
Bryson DeChambeau.
like, you would say,
They just finished 1 and 2.
okay,
There you
okay. So, like, that rivalry in golf, because remember, it was like Tiger and you remember David Duval, who, when he was fat, was balling, then lost weight and just forgot because of science or whatever. I don't know, what did you say? It wasn't hand, foot, mouth. He had what, like butt, foot, mouth or something?
That's the
sounds in order that would surprise you. But then it was Tiger and Phil. Like, you need that rivalry.
that yin to the yang.
You need that yin to the yang. And DeChambeau's the perfect guy to do it, right? Because he's the polar opposite of Scheffler. So, I like the guy. I root for him. You didn't get here by accident. You got here because a man, a real one, raised you right. And honor him this Father's Day with Jeremy's razors, with 5 stainless steel blades, a precision trimmer for clean lines and tight corners, and a lubricating strip made with argan oil. Ooh, that's fancy. And aloe. Jeremy's razors are built to erase the stubble, not his masculinity. And with up to 47% off for Father's Day, now's the time to find the perfect gift made for the men who raised winners, not whiners. So go to jeremy'srazors.com right now, this instant, even if there's a fire. No, just kidding. That's jeremy'srazors.com. Go check him out this Father's Day. Make the man in your life proud of who he is.
All right, let's talk a little Major League Baseball. In a historic sweeping decision, Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred on Tuesday removed Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson and other deceased players from Major League Baseball's permanently ineligible list. He says, obviously, a person no longer with us cannot represent a threat to the integrity of the game.
What?
Rob Manfred actually said this. Moreover, it is hard to conceive of a penalty that has more of a deterrent effect than one that lasts a lifetime with no reprieve. So Pete Rose, now that he's passed away, could be eligible for the Hall of Fame, along with Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Yeah, I got in an argument on Twitter. A lot of people think Shoeless Joe Jackson didn't do anything with the Black Sox that threw the World Series. I disagree. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I do think there's a big difference between what Shoeless Joe Jackson was accused of with the Black Sox and Pete Rose betting on his team to win, like not the spread, but just to win money line. That quote, like, what threat did Pete Rose? Was he going to like do a jihad on Major League Baseball? I don't understand how now that he's passed away, he's not a threat anymore. What was he like, hanging outside the building with a machete and like doing a seance or something? I don't understand that. But part of me is like, good. I'm glad for his family. But like, how do you not do this when he's alive? Like, that to me, it was egregious. We've been pretty consistent on our stances here about it. I would have much rather them done it when he was alive. But, I guess, glass half full, at least they're doing it now. It just, I don't know, that quote is, God, Rob Manfred is just, I swear to God, if he was any dumber, I think he'd be a mineral. Or just like a nutrient or something.
Blaine, how have we gone in the span of a few months, to Pete Rose cannot be in the Baseball Hall of Fame to, well, now he's eligible, and we're going to throw Shoeless Joe Jackson in there.
I just feel like somehow Donald Trump's behind this. It's like somehow Trump's behind this.
He did tweet about it.
Called Manfred, was like, hey, you need to get this fixed.
So he tweets, so President Trump tweets about Pete Rose. Now he's going to be eligible for the Hall of Fame. He tweets about Shadur Sanders. He finally gets drafted in the 5th round. I mean, this guy's out here solving every problem there is.
Yeah.
I just wondered, I thought he was going to start tariffing like Major League Baseball. It's like, listen, we got reciprocals, all right, until
I wish
Pete
he'd
Rose
tariff
goes
the
and all.
Savannah Bananas. That'd be good.
Yeah.
No, I doubt. We're going to get a guy out. I can't wait for that episode coming up here shortly. All right, Cody.
Next one up, 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy, who was Mr. Irrelevant, the very last pick in the NFL draft when he was selected, just signed a new contract, 5 years, $265 million. Here's a little perspective. His rookie contract was 4 years, about $3.7 million total. He's going to make about that much per game now.
Okay. Love me some Brock Purdy. It's a great story. It's a great story. Where do we put Brock Purdy? Like, again, good player. Good player, obviously. The 49ers believe in him. He does things the right way. You think he's worth $265 million?
Well, I don't think a lot of these guys are, but
like in the grand scheme of things, like how many quarterbacks would you take before Brock Purdy? I mean, I think there's a decent amount that I would. Would you take Jaden Daniels or Brock Purdy?
Jaden Daniels.
You would take Jaden Daniels.
Would you take C.J. Stroud or Brock Purdy? I'd take C.J. What about Trevor Lawrence?
Ooh, I'd probably
take Brock Purdy.
I'd probably take Brock.
I take Brock.
That's probably the line.
But that's
I'm happy. Look,
that leaves what? That leaves a dozen guys. 10.
I'm happy for him, but and it's not his fault. How much of a product of what the situation he went to, which sometimes being drafted in that spot actually turns out to be a good thing. Brock Purdy is a case study on sometimes being drafted later if you go in the right situation can be worth $265 million. I know the market is inflated, right? We can have that argument. We can hash that out. I just wonder if it's more of a product of what was around him because I almost wonder, you look at the Niners with that window, there's no Super Bowl win, right? You haven't won the big one. So to me, $265 million, even in an inflated market, is, hey, you've won the big one. I know they've gotten close. They may still win it. But, I mean, McCaffrey, let's look at the injury situation, right? I mean, he's still dominant when he's able to play. Kittle is getting up there. I mean, Debo's gone. Yep. They have talent around him, and they've drafted really well. I just, I'm good. I'm happy for him. It's good for him. I don't know where I land. Would you call Brock Purdy elite? Is Brock Purdy an elite quarterback? I wouldn't say he's elite.
Remains to be seen.
Yeah. I wouldn't say he's elite, but good on him. Get your monies.
Yeah, happy for him.
All right, last one for today. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese. Can you break down the situation over there that happened this weekend?
Yeah, it's amazing we're talking about this and not anything about the NBA Finals. I think that's
It's a win. That's a win for the WNBA.
So Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark are playing each other. Remember the first time they played, Angel Reese team did win this game. Go ahead and run it. Angel Reese pushed somebody before this. I guess it's not going to be on this clip. And that's the reason why Caitlin Clark came back with this foul. You didn't see it in the clip, but Angel Reese definitely pushed somebody in the back with two hands. Caitlin Clark responds.
So that foul's too hard after what they did to Caitlin Clark all last year.
That's not a flagrant
That's
to
where
me
we
at
draw
all.
the line.
That's not a flagrant to me at all. But of course, it's who? It's Angel Reese. She gets a flagrant and comes up and gets into Caitlin Clark's face, and actually one of the teammates from Caitlin Clark gets in her face and catches a flagrant as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, congrats to the WNBA because we're in the throes of the NBA playoffs, like you said, and we're talking about this because it's more interesting, in my opinion. A couple things here. First, mainly, can we just be real about this, everybody? Like, Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark. All right, I think Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark a lot more than Caitlin Clark hates Angel Reese. We can call it jealousy. We can call it whatever. Now, I don't think Angel Reese is nearly in the same ballpark when it comes to talent as Caitlin Clark is. So somebody on Twitter responded. I put out a tweet similar to what I said, or an X post, whatever you want to call it. And they said, this has so much Padres-Dodgers energy. Like, the Padres just hate the Dodgers. The Dodgers, at the end of the day, like, we're way better than the Padres. We don't care as much as you guys do. I thought that was a great way to encapsulate it. I want to separate the race thing just for a second, and then I want to kind of get back to where I think it ultimately lands. So Angel Reese is obviously super jealous of Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark has not fought back during this whole time. Go back to last year when the hit was out on her, this, that, or the other. Now she's fighting back. Not only that, her teammates are standing up for her too. And it just got released. I believe all the GMs came out and said they thought Caitlin Clark was the best point guard, the best shooting guard. Caitlin Clark is a much better player than Angel Reese. So the only way that Angel Reese can stay as relevant as Caitlin Clark is to hate on Caitlin Clark. Now, what makes it worse is that Caitlin Clark is white. I think that makes it a whole lot more interesting in the grand scheme of things, and it makes Angel Reese even that more pissed off. That's where I think the race comes into it. Because if Caitlin Clark was black, I don't even think we'd really be paying attention. I think she'd just be another great player in the WNBA. There wouldn't be this heated rivalry, whatever happened in college. But you have the white and black dynamic here, which does nothing but flame the fires of this. But Coney, I think this is great for the WNBA.
Well,
I think it's great for them.
What the WNBA would love is if this plays out similar to how the Magic Johnson and Larry Bird rivalry played out.
Angel's just not good enough.
That's what my question was going to be. Is her game going to elevate to the point? I mean, is she going to be able to keep up with Caitlin Clark to even be able to have a rivalry of that comparison? Because that one started in college. This rivalry did start in college. Granted, those two guys went to like two of the best markets possible with the Lakers and Celtics. But I just wonder, like, Angel Reese isn't going to be able to like hang on by just having chippiness towards towards Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, eventually it's going to run its course. Like, and it's just going to become kind of old news. But again, I will say, and the saddest part is the WNBA has this opportunity, and they actually still do, even though they have stepped on the rake at every turn. You see this racism thing that's come out because they were booing Angel Reese at the free throw line. The WNBA released a statement. Like, so now we can't just boo people
which
if there are certain races.
No one's heard anything, say anything. You got to remember, it's a WNBA game, all right? There's not a bunch of 35-year-old white guys showing up to WNBA
The Patriot Front's not showing up.
And little girls showing up to this game. And I heard it was kid did a laugh that said someone was doing monkey sounds and calling Angel Reese a monkey at the game. So the WNBA
and if you hear it,
and now if anybody's racist around somebody, kick them out. Don't ever let them come back to a game again. It's just amazing to me. It's not only Angel Reese, but it's the WNBA in general. They just don't like Caitlin Clark because she is white and she is dominant. She's actually a very good basketball player. But now, if you're white and you're dominant in your league that's majority black, you're entitled.
Well, they want Caitlin Clark to be the villain. But Caitlin Clark is not built to be the villain. She doesn't have the personality of the villain. I know we just showed that flagrant foul, and she's kind of fighting back a little bit, but that's just not a role that she's built for. Angel Reese has become the villain in a league that's trying to villainize the opposite person of Angel Reese, and I don't think they can square that.
It's crazy.
Oh, all right. Well, we appreciate you guys. Make sure in the comments, let us know. What do you think about the Hugh Freeze comments, everything else we touched on? We appreciate you joining us. And like the chances of me going to a T-Wolves game, we're going. Gone.